Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning to some of you. As always, I am Dan Tartaglione. Try to say my name fast 5 times. Host of Holotheatre. Welcome back, as always. Joining me today from his kingdom of action figures. I mean, I'm always like, I love seeing your little display. But we have Mr. Design Advocate himself, the one and only Chris Kelly. How you doing, Chris?
Hi, everyone. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Well, I know everybody is excited because again, I've been talking about this for like the last few nights with the retro streams and everything. Today is all about the upcoming V set. We're going to talk about we're going to talk about some of the cards, some of the themes, maybe a spoiler or two if Chris is feeling a little generous. But we're also going to talk about the defensive shields. I know, Chris, you came out and said a little bit ago, saying that there's going to be some changes coming up with the defensive shields, which, in all honesty, I love. Like, just that post that you made on the forums, and we'll show that here in a second, uh, explaining in detail about what's going to happen. I love that kind of communication from everybody. So, but first things first, we talked. I did mention this a little second ago. The finals for the 2024 retro charity event premiere to I believe it's to Reflections to the premiere. It's premiere to premium sets. All Decipher cards, no virtual cards. We have the finals set. It is set for this Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific. It's going to be Johnny Chu, our 3 seed, versus Patrick Lima, our 8 seed. And I don't know if anybody watched the stream from last night, but oh my gosh, that was one heck of a game. Both Johnny and Mr. Pistone played on a insane performance. Big props to everybody who made the top 8, by the way. But wow, it was amazing. So again, it's going to be this Saturday, 9 a.m. Make sure you tune in. It's going to be one. I can almost guarantee it's going to be one to remember. So, but I think it's time we get into what we brought Chris on. We normally bring him on to talk about the Yankees or to talk about him doing well at the Indianapolis Eclipse event. But I think tonight we're going to talk a little bit about virtual cards and what's going on with them. So, first things first, we'll go ahead and talk about the whole defensive shields and what you guys are doing with those. So, Chris, why now? Like that, I think that's the first thing that we want to talk about.
Well, first off, Aaron Judge is having a heck of a year. Heck of a year. So I'm glad we have the chance to talk about that. I saw the stat line from when Bryce Harper won the MVP a few years ago, and Aaron Judge's numbers are already better.
Well, see, now you brought up in this can of worms. Are the Yankees at first?
They are. They are.
Never mind. No, they're not.
So
they're tied for first.
they're tied for the place they're in, which is first. So with respect to defensive shields, this has been something we've been talking about for a while.
Okay.
We've had some success with some tweak sets and also a little pushback of that maybe we were using a little too much errata. So finding that right balance is always a challenge. But we felt with so many shields, especially virtual ones, as metas cycle and some cards might not be needed. We've also in the past used some shields as instant meta fixes, and then later gone back and made cards to help it. So maybe the shields are obsoleted. It was almost a perfect storm. We've been talking about it for a while. And we felt with this type of errata, it's a one-time thing where you just print out the shields, you put them on the cards, and then you don't really have to do too much arts and crafts. But overall, it simplifies things. The pod racing shield text is on the pod racing shield now, where it will be when the set releases.
Okay.
Whereas beforehand, you're going through your shield pile. What's the pod racing shield again? Not the pod racing shield. It's actually on the insert shield. So
Yeah,
we tried to streamline some things.
and I mean, I for one like what you guys did originally. Like originally, it was. I'm actually gonna let's say, like I said, I'm gonna pull up your post regarding this. So, but first, yeah, like a couple of years ago, I know it came out that the whole like, okay, first we could uh, the PC added shields. You went from having 3 to 4 with anger, fear, aggression, and knowledge and defense. Then eventually it became to the point where you could have any number of shields underneath your starting effect. You didn't have any like limit on them. So, but now, yeah, like you were saying, like there's a little bit more consistency with them, and that just, I mean, I like that. I like the fact that there's a lot of consistency. Like, I mean, with when you play against people like Timo Dusel, Chris Werfs, who play these weird pod racing decks, and you're searching through your shields for like 10, 15 seconds and like, okay, what shield am I pulling? That gets a little like eating up your time is not good, especially on like GEMP or even in person.
Yeah, and I want to give credit where credit is due. Ryan Jellison was like the backbone and instrumental, and he put so much work into thinking this through and where things should be logically. So shout out to Ryan for that. But there was a game a few worlds ago on day 2. So these are our top players, where someone was looking through their shields for a particular shield they knew existed. They
Mm-hmm.
just couldn't remember what shield it was on, and that was kind of like the spark that relit this fire. That yeah, I wouldn't intuitively think that text would be on that shield, but it was.
Yeah.
And as I was saying earlier, when we use them as meta crutches, a lot of times the way we'd pick which shield to put the text on was which shield had room on it, so that people wouldn't have to pack multiple shields. But if there was a decipher shield that we could straight up upgrade by
Mm-hmm.
adding a line, would do that. And that didn't always make sense thematically, but it was, out of necessity. So we kind of were taking the time to reset all of that.
So I noticed, like for example, so right off the bat, there's 3 Dark Shot shields that are getting tweaked a little bit. One of them is this Useless Gesture and Death Star Sentry. So this is going to be like, we're talking about the first ever combo defensive shields. How did it feel to be the advocate that designed those, or who initiated, like who was in charge of the design?
Yeah, don't give me too much credit. I'm not that brave. I've actually wanted a combo sense shield, do or do not, and wise advice that you play it, makes sense and alter lost,
Mm-hmm.
and then the destiny draw is lost and the card goes used, thinking that'd be a cool combo. That obviously didn't take flight. The real genesis for any combo shield is the fact that a useless gesture is unique, is referenced by other cards, and is a rare that is only available in Reflections 3. It's kind of the perfect storm where we wanted the Watch Your Step shield to still exist. We could not put it on a different shield because then you'd be able to suddenly play Useless Gesture, the Decipher version, plus the new shield. So we needed to leverage the uniqueness dot to lock it out. So we're stuck with that title. It has to be that title.
Yeah.
And we also explored the ability to put it on a new card and then just say in that text the Useless Gesture is suspended, so you couldn't play both. But then all of a sudden there's other cards that reference useless gestures such as Outrider V and the Lando Interrupt. So we were kind of stuck with that title being the Step Shield. So we had to put it somewhere. And then we kind of arrived at the decision would be leverage the unique dot, put it on something else. And since it kind of taxes the interrupts, we thought it made sense to put it on the other taxing shield, Death Star Sentry. So that's why it is a combo card, because we needed that title to be used on that text.
And I mean, honestly, like I love the fact that it's not a C slip. That's the biggest thing for me. So now you have actually let me have the honor of spoiling the shield on the show. So big props to you, the big thank you to you, as well as Greg Zinn.
Yeah, this is all graphics and Greg.
Like,
Greg is
Greg is
the
like,
hero we don't deserve. He's
yeah, I know. Like, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Greg is a wonderful person, and we need more of him. Uh, but here you go, everybody. Here is this new Useless Gesture and Death Star Sentry combo shield. So, like you said, it does the exact same thing. It is a full art shield, and I like that it is going over the Death Star Sentries. Like you said, it finding a Reflections 3, a Useless Gesture, unless you're Brian Fred, might be a little bit difficult.
and then conversely, to lead into the light side combo shield, it just made sense. If we're doing the dark side one, we'll mirror it with the light side.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're putting that all on, it does need more tech space. So we kind of put the taxing stuff together on there. For light side, obviously the taxing shield is the Professor Goldenrod, because that makes the Executor and Blizzard 4 and Watto cost more, along with the other tax. We also went to put that on the uncommon card. But then player feedback was actually, hey, we would rather it be on the Professor, and that made sense. It's a Dagobah rare, so not too pricey. Everyone has one because you have a pile of shields, and there's some sentimental reasons from certain players that are pillars of the community. So a way to honor them and throw them a bone. That one goes on the Professor.
Well, I mean, originally it was there was a card. I think it was an effect back in the day created by Mr. Mike Pistone, who again made the top 4. So yeah, I mean, the fact that we have Goldenrod on the Professor and the shield makes me happy because I am a huge fan of the lore of the game. So, but looking back at some of the other shields that you were talking about, like one of them is so the Kolo Clawfish, the Beggar Shield, will let fate decide. That's getting a little bit of a twist, correct?
Yeah, that's basically a super shield. Decipher made it that way, but they didn't include everything on it. So we just said this is going to be the shield that cancels a bunch of the Decipher cards that in this current stage of the game are kind of MPE. So that should be easy to remember. That's the card that cancels the cheese.
And then I noticed the next one, like you alluded to this a little bit ago. You've Never Won a Race is the official 100% pod racing shield. But I noticed there's a special little part of text on this one.
Yeah, we wanted to keep the undercover spy text, the specifically double agent. So we needed that to go somewhere, and it kind of made sense to put it on a card dealing with racing, because that's what undercover spies do. They help you race the damage. And we also felt their comm scans great. To kill the spies. Free ride combo is great to kill the spies, but then you just Jedi Lev Jin back, or you Unita Jin back, or you exchange someone for Afra to get you 3PO back, and you're right back in the same position. So now all of a sudden, if you pull these shields first, once you kill the undercover spy, they're gone for the game.
How did so I know there is a collective of players who have been saying that undercover spies are terrible for the game. Overall, how has the feedback been on this change to the shield, especially the undercover spy game text?
I'll say I don't know if terrible is as strong as I'd go, but I agree with the sentiment. I don't like undercover spies. I don't think they make for great games, but I do get that in some games it's strategic and it is fun to use, that type of strategy and have a counter, and it's almost like a puzzle. So that is fun. So we don't want them totally out, but there are so many quality main deck counters for them. I think it's okay, particularly now that you don't need to draw it twice. You just need to draw your main deck counter twice, or once, I'm sorry, and then you eliminate the undercover spy and they're gone.
Okay. And then I think we talked about this again, the light side. So there are getting some erratas, like Failure at the Caves receiving it. The politics, the Senate shield is also getting some changes, and then You Cannot Hide Forever as well. Overall, I mean, like the tweaks to the shield, just the condensing of them. I think this is a great change. And
condensing's a great word. You cannot hide forever is obviously the Jedi shield. For combat
Mm-hmm.
and inserts and everything. But what we want to do with vote of no confidence is now all of a sudden Grimtosh and Monarch are 14 cards. It made no sense to me that they were excluded from that shield. I do want to just caution or give everyone a heads up. We've obviously gotten a lot of feedback, particularly on Failure at the Cave. I wouldn't say that that's set in stone yet.
Okay.
As far as whether or not it will hurt Jedi Test 3, or even to the extent that it might. We're discussing options on that still. It seemed a lot of the feedback was people would rather live with Jedi Test 3 than have it neutered to the extent that this does.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, like, yeah, Jedi testing is a deck. It's been around since Special Edition has been around. Do I love playing against Jedi testing? No. Is it the biggest issue that they can modify Destiny? I mean, it eats up their clock time on Gemp. So
I think in real life, the issue is once they get their stack, you can't hit the Jedi because they're all essentially defense value +2.
And I understand
you can't
that.
attrition them because they're all -1. I think that's the issue with that. But we're looking into stuff. Part of the reason we post spoilers and do these shows is to get feedback.
Yes, and speaking of which, for those who are currently watching, it would be, if you do have any questions for Chris, let me know. The chat is currently going. I have it up on the screen so you can see this during the show, and I will definitely, if Chris can't see it, I'll relay it to Chris. So please,
I can't see it. So
please get some questions in. This is your chance to pick Chris Kelly's brain.
Oh no.
Justin Carulli and I were picking his brain on the way to and from Indianapolis. Pick his brain. This guy has a lot of good ideas for the game.
You know what was fun? Just a quick segue about the community. One of my favorite memories from Indy was that car ride, talking about baseball and comparing eras, and it had nothing to do with Star Wars cars. It's just fun to hang out with everyone.
Yeah.
Go to events. It's just a good time.
Smelly Burger 28 says, Chris Kelly, please buff Hitco more.
That has to be Logan.
That is 100% Logan.
I don't know if we want to talk about that now or for the set 23 stuff, but I can address that.
Wolfman 5666, Kyle Kalin says a second. So yeah, okay. Let's talk about Hitco.
It's so funny. Yeah, I think Hitco's in a fine spot. There needs to be a light side mains right now. That seems to be the light side mains, particularly with communing, getting its errata. To be honest, I'm kind of a little tired of Hitco, ready to move on to a different mains platform.
Same.
And then all of a sudden, JNAP and the graphics crew dropped that amazing AI that I got in my GEMP. So now I want to play it a little bit again.
That's not fair.
Yeah, that AI. So now I have to run it a few more times. I think Hitco's in a good spot. I saw a post, I don't remember who made it, just how it's runs all the high destiny cards. Yeah, that's what Hitco does. That's the version of mains that Hitco is. Mm-hmm. That's like its strength. I think it's fine. It's good where it is. I don't know if it's performed well for certain people. It's about a 50%, I guess now a little bit more than 50% deck. It's good. Nothing in this set is designed to help Hitco. There are some things designed to hurt Hitco, but of course, because it is light side mains, cards in this set will go seamlessly into Hitco because Hitco runs good cards.
And that's fair. I was going to say, this is a good segue to talk about one of the cards that was spoiled before. And I believe it was Kendall Holman who spoiled this one. We saw it first. Cornhorn Jedi. We do know this was I believe this was a player created card. Is this correct?
Yep. Yeah, it was Kendall's card. I think Joe Olsen had donated it to him. So thank you to Joe for doing that. It's a great gesture. And I love community stuff like that. Corn makes corn. That's cool.
Just to answer the question in the chat, Hitco is the chosen one deck. It is based around the objective. He is the chosen one. You run a lot of Luke Skywalker, Jedi Knights, Luke Skywalker, Rebel Scouts or Young Skywalker. You can't run episode 1 characters. You can't run episode 7 characters. And one of the key cards to the deck is Like My Father Before Me. But
yeah, and something about Hiko I like is Rey is the best card in the game, and you can't use her. So it's kind of a good way of diversifying so that not every deck is running Rey.
But let's go back to Cornhorn the Jedi. So the first thing is I notice is in the lore it no longer says he's a spy.
Correct. Yeah, we didn't want a Jedi spy. We felt that'd be probably a little too good.
That's fair. And then so again he's a power 4, ability 6 Jedi Knight, comes down for 5 and has a forfeit of 6.
Yeah, it's probably a little on the pricier side when considering most of the light side characters now, but again that's probably not a bad thing.
No. And then adds 1 to anything maneuver of anything he pilots. He doesn't add to power though. Interesting. But I do like that he kept the add 1 to maneuver part of his game text. Once per game during battle may deploy a blaster on Khorne from hand or reserve deck, reshuffle. During battle may subtract 1 from a just drawn blaster weapon destiny. Khorne is power +2, and then he's immune to attrition less than 5. So, let's start off the bat. Like you said, this was Kendall's card. Was this Kendall's go-to idea with putting a blaster on him?
Yeah, I don't want to steal too much of Kendall's thunder. I know he has a show where he talks about it, so obviously everyone go watch that. The general idea being Cornhorn in Legends, absorbs blaster bolts and uses the force and is stronger. So here he subtracts from the blaster destiny, absorbing it and being power +2 stronger. Mm-hmm. Interestingly, kind of coolly, you can subtract from your own destiny. So if you hit a guy by 2, you can still subtract 1, hit the guy and still be power +2.
Or if you're playing against Shadow Collective, really helpful.
Yeah, yep.
So, yeah, I mean, overall, he can go into Hitko. Again, he's another Jedi Knight.
I don't know that I'd use him in Hitko. He's Destiny 1. I think I'd rather the Destiny 3 Khorne, who's a spy, and deals with undercover spies that we were just talking about. But it's cool that option is there. It's
but
cool
at the same time, he's also a pretty solid ground character for Watch Your Step.
Yeah. Yep. I think that's probably where he'll have the best home.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? Yeah. I'm excited to see where players take him.
And then, I was going to say, we'll probably see, everybody put him into Hitko right away because Hitko has the best characters. Moving on, let's go ahead and talk about one of the other ones that was just spoiled again. That one is going to be Gor Koresh. Again, this was spoiled on Kendall's show. Where did the idea for this guy? I'm not familiar with this guy. Who is he?
He's from The Mandalorian. I feel like it's a nice, cool way to bring new media into the game. But the general idea here is WAP. The Imperials have Krennic. So Scum kind of needs someone to deal with WAP. So
no, they don't. As your resident WAP player, no, they don't. Leave WAP alone.
I play test with Robbie. WAP's great. WAP's really fun. WAP's really busted. When it rolls, it rolls. You get punished for drawing the type of destiny that you should be drawing. So I don't want to say a soft answer. It's a convenient and solid answer without killing it. I mean, just
which I'm happy with.
Yeah. I think it's the way to go about doing things.
And then I noticed he has the ability to, once deployed, you may deploy a non-maintenance cost Gamorrean here for -2. That just screams the very popular My Kind of Scum deck that one Mr. Justin Carulli played at the Indianapolis Eclipse event. Would you? I don't know if you were familiar with. Obviously, you're familiar with the deck. Would you put him into that deck?
That's a question to better ask. Carulli. I mean, he wouldn't pull fucking Thug, but he would pull Ortug. But you might just be better off with another Ortug. So
he also pulls Ganna Gleamore.
Yep, That's who I think will end up getting pulled the most
Yeah.
with his text is Ghana. But I just think it's a cool card. That's obviously a callback from his role in Mandalorian with getting the guards. So yeah, I think it's a cool, neat card that will find home.
Okay. And then, so I know the upcoming the North American Continental Championship. We've already said and spoiled what the theme is. It's all based around Hoth, walkers, maybe some speeders. So let's talk about one of the cards that is going to go help out walkers that actually could use some help. Electro Rangefinder, Destiny 6, which good card. Deploy on a Hoth or is that Premier?
Premium. So
Premium.
the Imperial Walker from the Hoth 2-player set.
Okay. Once per game, when deployed, may search force pile or use pile and take any one card in hand. That's kind of big. And then when this AT-AT fires an AT-AT cannon with your Hoth epic event from a site you control, add one destiny to your total. So I like that because it makes it a little faster. But being that you can just put that down and once per game get any card out of the force pile or the use pile is really strong.
Yeah, and this is another one we spoiled. We got some feedback on. Obviously, we didn't have the Euro results when the set was made. So I appreciate the feedback. I hope no one thinks that we're dumb for making these cards. But we're looking to feedback. We'll probably tone this back a little bit. The main point of the card is consistency. If you activate one of the key components, you're down a turn, and against a lot of decks, particularly mains decks that don't give you much force, you're already going slower. So the point of the card is because prepare for surface attack pulls it, you can pull this to get the card whose pull you actually did miss. So it's kind of like you're doubling up on the epic event, you're doubling up on the gun. And if you don't need it, it's Destiny 6.
Yeah, and that's fair. Like, I mean, the adding a Destiny to your total might be a little strong because, I mean, you essentially want to like, but at the same time, I mean, maybe a +2 would be.
Yep, it's something.
Fair, but it's something that hopefully the playtesters catch.
Yep, yeah, we're all looking at it. We appreciate obviously the comments, which seeing things with fresh eyes. That's why we spoil things. We want feedback, and so that's something we might rein in a little bit based on its success. Its recent success. We might pull it a little bit.
Okay,
so don't be afraid to give feedback.
No,
we listen.
That's why we're here. This is why again why I wanted to do this show. Like, getting ideas for people, putting them to again, questions for Chris, feedback for Chris. Constructed criticism. That's the criticism's my job. Next up, let's talk about another Destiny 6 card. Put all sections on alert. It's a use interrupt. Prevent a character from moving except during owner's move phase till end of turn. Cancel a Jedi's Presence or Rebel Ambush or pull a VSET 0 Imperial Decree. Or once per game, deploy a lift tube from outside your deck. Wow, that does a lot. I like that it cancels the reacts. Like it stops dodge. But the big one, obviously, the big one is Path of Least Resistance.
And it's more than that. So this is a great example of why we do want public feedback. I didn't realize that this would also stop movement aboard a starship to change pilot passenger. This is definitely going to get changed so that it doesn't impact that. But something that it does impact is run look run. I said there's a few Hitco counters. So this is one of them. And it can go in any deck because it helps versus QMC. It helps versus mains. So it's kind of a nice little toolbox card that doesn't blow anything out, but certainly can help you. And then pulling the lift tube is just so good versus QMC. So it's one of those nice little toolbox cards. Canceling Jedi Presence, again, another anti-Hitco thing. Try to tone that down for its meta share a little bit.
Ambush?
Because you got to put all once you put all the sections on alert, the rebels can't ambush you.
That's fair.
Watch the movies, bro.
I have and pulling Imperial Decree V.
Yeah,
That makes me sad.
we wanted something to pull that because that you do need verse WAP. So
No,
we
you
kind of like
don't.
this card.
No, leave WAP alone.
We felt this was a good way. It's so hard to design a card that only counters things
Oh, yeah.
because it'll never make decks. And we felt we did a pretty good job with this because it is somewhat cyclable. It gets proactively decree, which is also a good card besides against WAP. And then cancel some key cards of some decks that are pretty high up in the meta.
So I noticed it also cancels Ascension Guns.
Yeah, if you get it opening hand, you'll slow them down.
Well, it doesn't have to be
I
opening
guess
hand.
I guess if you get it by turn 2, it'll
Yeah.
slow them down one turn. Yeah, that's more of a bug than a feature, but yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
let's
we'll do.
remove that bug.
No, I think I like it. It
No.
stops Nabrin. It stops Nabrin.
Neighbor's
It
fine.
stops.
Odin Nestler's fine.
It stops. Oh, it stops Odin as well. It stops
Yeah.
undercover spies. So you move the undercover spy. You move your party away. You play it on the undercover spy. They can't follow. It kind of stops the Cantina shuffle. They move one guy. You play it to stop the other guy from being able to move. He's
Does
by
it
himself.
Does it stop Yoda's relocate?
It'll stop him from moving. Yeah. Yep.
I'm saying his once per game.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
It would stops movement. This is one we've gotten feedback on both sides.
Mhm.
It'll change. It will change. It will definitely change so that it doesn't affect the Starship thing. But it'll probably undergo some changes. So keep feedback coming. We're listening.
Yeah. Leave WAP alone. That's my feedback. Let's go into a deck that I'm we haven't seen a lot of. Like it's been changed and changed and changed and changed, much to the chagrin of Mr. Paul Myers and other Imperial Entanglements fans. But we have a new helper for the card, and this one's kind of nice. TD 110 gets a bonus to his destiny if send attachments on the table. During a battle at a Tatooine site, may place tactical support out of play from Lost Pile to add 2 attrition against opponent. I kind of like that effect. Like, it doesn't do a lot, but it does enough.
Yeah, I like the idea of being able to make an interrupt that when you draw 4 of them and you're mad, all of a sudden still has a use. He repurposes tactical support, so that's kind of cool. And it's almost like a little reminiscent of Rose, but without being Destiny 5, to exchange him. So we felt comfortable going down that route in that one deck.
Yeah, no, I mean, I personally like the Trooper idea of Imperial Entanglements, unless I'm playing David Woods or I can't think of his name.
John McFarlane.
John McFarlane, thank you.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is still true, and I want to talk for them. But when speaking with them about this card in Indy, they said they wouldn't even use it because it's not as important to get a specific guy. Maybe that's changed. I don't know, but I kind of like that choice.
Yeah,
it's not an automatic, but it seems good.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then we'll go into a card that we got spoiled originally, kind of like with the new, I don't want to say cheaper version of Palpatine, but the newer version of the Emperor. The Emperor's back V, so get out your new Emperors and play this. Used, you can deploy the Emperor's New Order or overseeing it personally. Lost, once per game, choose. Place an interrupt from opponent's lost pile out of play. Or if Shizor or 2 Imperial leaders in battle, recirculate. I think it's a solid card. Like, getting Empire's New Order, I mean, that's an epic event that doesn't see a lot of play, but I mean, it might see a little bit more play now. Overseeing it personally is really useful still. Oh, it's the effect.
Yeah, it's the Endor effect.
Oh, what was I thinking? Emperor's Orders. Thank you, Bill.
It probably is more so room to grow. Occasionally we'll put although it's not a broken link because the card exists, something that allows us later on in the future to design a better card of it. A lot of we went back and forth with so many different Empire's back versions.
Mm-hmm.
I think Drew and Bill are probably the most instrumental in getting this to what I think is the perfect spot. This
Yeah.
card's useful. It's
Yeah.
useful. It's, if nothing else, it's a grabber. But recirculating once per game is so good, and any deck that runs that Emperor has access to it, including
Mm-hmm.
Black Sun. So now all of a sudden, the Galactic Emperor is not necessarily totally worse than Emperor Palpatine in
No.
Agents of Black Sun.
I mean, honestly, like there. I mean, there are places for that new Galactic Emperor. Like he's helpful against WAP. He's solid in Bring It Before Me. I think again, like you said, though, this card is useful,
Yeah.
and I like broken. I will say that I like Broken Leaks because it like has a little bit of mystery to the future.
And I don't think we're spoiling any more today. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this set's gonna fix a few broken links. Um, that was a broken link in Emperor's text. Uh, Young Skywalker has a broken link
He does.
in A Jedi's Focus. And Vader V has a broken link in Physical Choke. I expect
Yeah.
all three of those interrupts to be in this set to kind of clean up all those broken links and make those cards a little more useful.
And Darth Vader, Betrayer of the Jedi, has a broken link in the fact that he's not playable right now.
Totally different topic, but I absolutely can say there are probably three total threads talking about making that card playable either by direct bumps to it or different themes that would force you to use that one. I think we all love the idea of that Vader. It's an iconic moment in the saga. So there's definitely talk about giving that Vader a home.
And it should have won the best V card image.
So many
saying.
good ones. There's so many good
Oh, yeah.
ones.
Oh,
Speaking
yeah.
of,
Speaking of, let's go probably one of the ones I had the honor of spoiling this one with Garrett a couple days ago. This one looks beautiful. The Emperor's Hand. I love the fact that we're making Mara Jade, the Emperor's Hand, a little bit more playable.
yeah, I like that you guys spoiled it during the retro stream because she was back in the Decipher day. She was money. She was probably the second best Darkseid character. Um,
Yeah,
so
easily.
good, and now she doesn't seem play at all. So we kind of like wanted to bring that back a little bit. Hopefully we accomplished that. It's kind of hard to base a deck around someone other than Luke or Vader, or I guess maybe someone like Kylo in map, but it's hard to base a deck around someone like that. So hopefully that interrupt kind of encourages
Mm-hmm.
some more people to play her.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I want to see what people have brewing for like this card because, like I said, Mara Jade's one of my favorite characters. I mean, you've seen the binder that I have that has a page dedicated to the card.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about some light side cards. We talked about Cornhorn. First one we're going to talk about is the new Out of Commission. So we have Transmission Terminated V. Now we have Out of Commission V.
Yeah, this was part of the campaign to de-combo cards. We have so many useful combo cards, so we decided last set with Transition Terminated, make that very good so people run the solo version, and this is the counterpart of that.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a straight bullet to Thrawn. So if you're sick and tired of playing against Thrawn, well, now you have the ability to play this card that is a Destiny 5, and you can choose an artwork card and make it go lost. So if you're not happy with a Destiny 3 card on the artwork card, you can make it go lost. Forfeit values can't be increased. That's good against ISB. That's good against Thrawn. That's good against code clearance, big time. And
good against Scum.
Good against Scum. Good against Dr. Evazan. Sniper combo.
Yeah, this card has a bunch of good uses.
And I like that it's thematic with moving Obi-Wan, especially the Virtual Set 1 Obi-Wan, kind of like in the movies.
Yeah. So I'm not a smart man. All of these good cards were made by smarter people. But that was someone's like, oh, it'd be cool if Obi-Wan could move because that's what he does when he puts stuff out of commission.
So,
That's pure theme. It'll probably get used.
yeah,
Obi-Wan, that's that one Obi-Wan's useful.
a little bit, yeah.
But yeah,
I mean,
it'll get some use.
I will say, like, I know that people play Obi-Wan with lightsaber in Rescue the Princess V. I like Obi-Wan in particular, a little bit more, just because you have the ability to go get any card out of your lost pile.
Every time I'm prepping for a major, when I'm making my Hiko deck, I'm like, oh, I should do Rebel Leaderships, that Obi-Wan, and then General Solo. And I do it, and then I'm like, it's just not as good. But
Well, you should do it at Continentals, because, again, Continentals is August 9th through the 11th in New Brunswick, New Jersey. So if you're going to go, please get your hotel signed up. Sign-ups are live now, so if you are interested in signing up, just go to the forums, check them out. And, Chris, are you going to go?
I'm definitely going. I'm looking
Nice.
forward to it. The weekend after that, I'm actually meeting Mark Hamill. Perhaps you've heard of him. But yeah, I don't know if I'm playing it. I'm kind of tired of Hiko. I don't know. I've been playing a lot of 12 card Tig, and that's just fun. That's just a blast.
You're meeting Mark Hamill.
Yeah, and Hayden Christensen. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, MBD.
I have never been jealous of Chris Kelly until this point.
You still don't have to be. There's a lot of baggage here. Don't worry about it.
We both have baggage. Everybody has their own. But let's go ahead and talk about. Okay, so this card has already been spoiled with the game text. But Chris decided, you know what? I'm the head honcho of design. I get to say what goes. Let's spoil the image too.
This is what I meant when I said I was talking earlier about
Yeah.
a bunch of really good virtual art cards. And I want to say I've had the permission of those that I answer to spoil these. Is it? I assume the image is on the screen
The image
now.
is on the screen right now.
If we don't get a foil of this at some point, I don't even know what we're doing anymore. That would look so good in foil.
Yeah.
It would make me want to play Diplo.
So I have to ask. Like, I know I've seen some a little bit of feedback from certain Pittsburgh players who have asked why this card. Like, what is it? What does it do to swing to make Diplo better?
A lot of the feedback was, we will never play Diplo if Thrawn is a thing. Thrawn's a thing. We don't want to kill Thrawn. We tried with strike planning to mitigate what Thrawn can do, meaning you get a free Obi-Wan instead of a free Tantive.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't enough. And we kind of did hear the players that it's such a bad matchup to play a deck that starts a ship on table, and then up against a certain matchup, you don't start that ship on table, you're losing 3 force, and you're behind the whole time. So the genesis of it was stop Thrawn and Chimera from coming to Tatooine turn 1. That obviously on its own won't make any deck. So we're like, well, let's give it some punch. And so all you do is you got to go to the cantina, you hire yourself a ship, a fast ship, one that can make the Kessel run in less than 12 parsecs. You pay that smuggler, and he will transport them droids to Alderaan. Okay, so thematic. And you know what else it does? It gets the Millennium Falcon in the game. It gets Captain Han in the game.
Yeah.
Everyone's happy.
Yeah. I'm happy because I think you, me, and Justin talked about something like this on the way back from Indy. So right there, people, that goes to show you Chris listens. Ask
I'm
your
definitely
questions,
not that smart.
feedback.
I steal ideas all the time. I'm not too proud. But it gets a lot of cool things in the game.
Now, I will say this, though. I stole your ideas for Betrayer of the Jedi Vader.
Yeah.
So, it's not stealing, it's making the game better.
We just want everyone to have fun. Honestly, sincerely, just want everyone to have fun.
Yeah. Okay. We got one last thing to show off tonight. Chris, any leeway before we go ahead and spoil said card?
I'll leave it to you guys. I know some people are a huge fan of this character. It's stolen from new media. I should say it's old media, but this particular version of the card is new media. Um, Thematic, both meta card and will find a home in at least one deck, maybe two. Um,
Yeah.
Even if its counter deck falls out of the meta.
I mean, I like the deck. The deck did really well for me at Indy. I think I actually went 3-1 with it, with my only loss being to Chris Kelly. Yeah.
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut.
I mean, I will say this though: I did just come off of beating Phil Asen by a coin flip, so my brain.
I lost to Phil Asen on a coin.
But this card, and I like it because the title too. We have our first ever Sabine Padawan learner, female Mandalorian Padawan, Destiny 2, Power 4, Ability 4, Armor 5. If Sabine was just deployed or won a battle, may choose an artwork card to place in use pile. Once per turn, if Sabine just hit a character, opponent loses 2 force. While with Ahsoka or Ezra, your total battle destiny here is +1. Immune to permanent weapons and attrition less than 3. First of all, I'm going to say it's a good image. Like, the cosplayer nailed it. Second, the game text. Like, yes, I like that she's pulling away from artwork, being that she is an artist herself. So, very thematic.
And anti-Thrawn. I mean, in
Anti-Thrawn,
Ahsoka. Yeah, in Ahsoka, she Thrawn her.
She still retains that whole causing damage to her card, doing damage to your opponent if she's, like, doing something. Like the original Sabine, so I like that.
Yep, with weapons, yep.
And she works with Ahsoka and Ezra. That's fitting. And making her immune to permanent weapons. Like, I know that we have that on Ahsoka. Why put it on to Sabine as well?
Following her apprenticeship, Ahsoka taught her skills. Ahsoka knows that skill. It made sense to incorporate something from Ahsoka's text into Sabine, because Sabine is learning from Ahsoka. Sabine wears armor. Kind of makes sense in that realm. Also, like the fact that she causes damage in a different way by hitting things. And there's this sweet Destiny 5 lightsaber that Ahsoka has, that when Ahsoka uses it, makes people forfeit = 0 on the new Ahsoka. And when Sabine uses it, she causes 2 damage. So kind of hopefully grabs that to the game a little bit.
And I like that if you pair her with Ahsoka, your opponent, like, their total battle destiny is -1, yours is +1. So master and apprentice, essentially.
Yep. Yeah, everyone knows I'm a sucker for themes and things like that.
Yeah, same. Okay, so I know people have questions for Chris. The big one, obviously, we know that Continentals is a month and 7 days away. What is the time frame for set 23, sir?
So we're working so hard. Everyone is behind the scenes burning the midnight oil. Unless you're in part of the production Q team, you can't understand the magnitude of how hard it actually is to release the set. Something I didn't understand. So everyone's working hard. As soon as we are comfortable and confident releasing a solid date, we will. But certainly it'll be in time for Continentals. Generally, we try to make sure the spoiler's out about a month, give or take a week, on each end, so that everyone can see what the cards do. Just as we're talking in the show, the cards are still changing. We're listening to feedback still. So as soon as we can get the cards into people's hands, we're definitely going to do that. So hopefully before not too long.
So for spoiler season, how are we going to continue to see, like, spoilers here and there? I know that, like you said, Kendall has put out some spoilers, Matt Manning. I've put out some on some streams. Is there any, like, order to the spoilers for the public?
Whenever I get mad, I post one in that thread. I'm just kidding.
Okay. So what we're hearing is somebody has to go to Run to Yankee Stadium right now and take out Aaron Judge.
No. Set will be canceled. Yeah, we've been dropping them in different places. We expect everyone to have all of the cards, as soon as practical. Uh, Design, like I said, based on feedback, is still tweaking stuff. My preference would be once everything's set, give it to everyone. That way, people don't suffer from the same syndrome I do, or you forget what the card actually does because you're remembering what the card used to do.
Mm-hmm. So, next question that I have is, there you go, perfect in the chat. Squires 000. How many cards are going to be in the set?
I don't know the answer to that, and that's only because I haven't counted. Not including the shields.
Are you actually counting them right in a second?
I am.
Okay.
There are approximately 20 light side cards, not including the preview cards.
Okay.
And I'll tell you how many people are in chat.
Right
Can
now
you tell?
we have currently 15 viewers.
Okay, I'll tell you what. If you guys want, I will spoil either one of the broken link interrupts or helper for an old theme to bring that back, or a helper for a somewhat modern theme that definitely needs the help.
Okay, there you go, chat. Vote now.
Vote now, vote now.
In the meantime, as our chat populates their answers here, so again, your choices are Broken Link, old theme, new theme. Tell us about like one of the themes.
This set's kind of unique, partially because of the time, and we're in a weird spot in Star Wars CCG because we just had the month of the OCS off. We didn't have any majors until Continentals. There's a large gap between there. Star Wars Unlimited is a fun game. A lot of people are playing that. So it's kind of like almost a perfect storm where everyone's kind of had a little reprieve.
Yeah.
So a lot of the cards in this set are enhancers or detractors rather than brand new themes. There's not going to be a brand new objective in here, but there will be cards that will cause underplayed objectives, including objectives that I have not seen being played at a major in the past 3 majors.
Okay.
Brought to the table. So it'll bring new stuff to the game in that way, but there's not going to be any brand new, titled objectives.
Okay. Now, we noticed that there were a few cards that we've already spoiled that I wouldn't say hurt current meta decks. Were there any decks that you guys were like specifically wanting to make less good?
Yeah, Hitgo. We talked about one of the cards that kind of hurts Jedi Presence and Run Luke Run. There is another Destiny 6 Dark Side Interrupt that when you read it, you'd be like, oh, if Hitgo's bothering me, I'm going to run 2 of these.
Mm-hmm.
But having said that, it also doesn't say if opponent's playing Hitgo, they lose 5 force. So I think we kind of pulled off a really good dynamic, a really good balance of hurting that deck in the way that people might want it hurt.
So DOS Emp, there have been a few cards that have been spoiled that actually take away from Thrawn. One of them being the Out of Commission, the new Out of Commission that has already been spoiled. The game text is out there on the forums. The other one, and again, I'll show it off because it looks really good as we wait for, I'd say, give it another minute to let the chat catch up. Again, if you want to see a Broken Link spoiler, a old theme spoiler, or a new theme. Oh, no, you're fine. That's why I'm going over it just really quick because this one isn't out on the forums yet. The new Sabine Padawan learner will actually help against Thrawn because when she's deployed, or if you win a battle, you can choose an artwork card and put it into your use pile.
And what we like about that is the biggest complaint we heard about Thrawn was you couldn't top deck because if you lost a 3 or 4, it would be devastating. So we tried to make it so that if you do lose the 3 or the 4, you can kind of get it back without it hurting you so much.
Yeah. No, I mean, I find that 100% fair. Like, again, I think I agree. Losing a losing a key card to a top deck like that sucks. That's why I'm not a fan of hit or hunt down.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't like hunt down. Can we hurt hunt down?
I don't love Hunt Down, but I do think it's important in the meta.
I'm not
If I
saying
had
it's
my
not.
druthers, I would make sure Hunt Down and Throne Room mains are always viable
Let's bring
because
back
they.
Throne Room. I'm 100% ready for that. Like, after watching Patrick Lima play his Throne Room deck, now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to bring back Anger, Fear, Aggressions, Order to Engage, all that jank. I want to bring back Throne Room.
Yeah, a deck where light side goes first and can be
Yeah, why
aggressive.
not?
I think it keeps a lot of dark side cheese in check. Same thing with Hunt Down. It keeps a lot of light side cheese in check. Where if you bring that type of deck to a tournament, you have to make sure you can get through Hunt Down, and Hunt Down just doesn't give you time to BS around.
Yeah.
And same thing with Throne Room. So I kind of like metas where those are
Mm-hmm.
high tier 2 decks.
Now, so at this point, let's go ahead. We have one person in the chat. We have a few people saying helpers to older themes. We have a couple of people saying new themes. Let's go with the old theme because that one actually we have a few people saying specifically old theme.
Okay, and then also one for new theme. I'll give both because I'm a nice guy.
You are. I mean, you're generous. The Yankees are in first place.
So again, as with everything, these are all subject to change, including based on your feedback. And obviously playtesting's working on them. This card is called Jabba's Last Chance. It's going to go over Ultimatum, and I'm sure you know what deck it now is a helper for.
Wow.
The original WAP. It's a helper for the original
No,
WAP.
I was saying WAP V.
Its text reads, if Han is frozen, deploy on table. Chewie, Lando, and Leia are immune to attrition less than 4. Once per turn, may deploy a unique character weapon from a reserve deck, reshuffle. And once per game, if R2 is in battle, may exchange one card from hand with a card from reserve deck, reshuffle, immune to alter.
Okay.
So essentially a huge upgrade over Cytor for Prophet. Prophet's a fun deck. It's one of the decks that its effects are locked in. So this basically will replace Cytor, gives your tier 1A, tier 2 main some immunity. And the coolest text is that little bugger R2, who I love and needs to be in more decks.
Yeah.
If he's in battle, he gets to do his little trick where he shoots the lightsaber at Luke.
Yep.
Except instead of shooting the lightsaber, he gives you guys an interrupt.
No,
So
I mean, we've seen something similar with the Lando Calrissian or Captain Lando Calrissian for Watch Your Step. Yeah, no, I like that. Like, I will say this though, I noticed that we are starting to move away from like Cytor Calfast and Blaster Rack. Like, I know they still see some play in certain decks, but with like decks like Hitco or Hunt Down that have their specific character effect, or you have like Evil is Everywhere or Jedi Business. Has there been any thought to altering Cytor and Blaster Rack, or do we want to leave those as they are? Because I will say this: they're in a lot of ways those are one of the OG virtual cards.
Yeah, I think Joe Olsen, maybe 2 years ago, brought that deck, the prior deck that started Like My Father plus Cytor.
Yeah.
I love that. Getting 2 weapons is better than 1.
Yeah.
I think those cards are good. They're nice defaults, but if you want the specialized one, Prophet's the only deck that can run this effect.
True.
Unless you're banking on your opponent playing CCT and you don't use the Mithril. So this isn't going to like replace Cytor across light side. It's a Prophet specific card.
I know. I'm just saying, like I said, I've just noticed like we have progressed a little bit more towards specialized cards versus just generic.
It's tough to run a bunch of matching weapons because of the diversity. Like you have a card like Anakin's lightsaber that can go on a bunch of characters, but for the most part, Leia's gun can only go on Leia. You're only going to run 2 Leias. So Cytor might have lost a little bit of its utility, and there's not going to be as many characters to match their weapons with, just based on your deck construction.
That's fair. Okay, you got one more. You promised us one more.
Oh shoot! It was the helper to a modern deck. Okay. Um, so the title of this card is Death Star Docking Control Room 327.
Okay.
So we know what it is going to be a helper for. It's a light side card.
Oh,
It's the
it's a light
first
side card.
time.
Okay.
Yep. It's not the virtual version of the dark side. It's a brand new titled light side card.
The first thing that I thought was like set your course for Alderaan, and my Bat Mouse light just went off.
Yeah, we don't want to light Bat Mouse's
No,
light. That means trouble for everyone.
Yeah.
Chaos will ensue. It's light text. It gives off 2 icons for light side and says may deploy the virtual C-3PO at that site from reserve deck, reshuffle. Everyone knows the iconic scene where 3PO and R2 are stuck in the closet and lock the door home. They hope they don't have blasters, so it pulls 3PO. But only that 3PO, not parts showing. And then the dark side text says Luke may not be captured here, gives off 1 icon, and restraining bolt here is canceled. So they can't bolt your 3PO so long as you keep them in the control room and they don't have blasters. And Luke may not be captured is for Bring Him Before Me. Rescue the Princess cannot play the Bring Him Before Me shield.
Nope.
So you're playing a little version of Leia, and you're being denied Luke entirely. So if you keep him at that site, Luke can fight. He can do his thing. So it's a little ease against Bring Him Before Me. So that helps versus a bad matchup. More importantly, it's a 2-1 that Lightside can play to get more force.
And I will say, like, Rescue the Princess has a bunch of issues against, like, dark side mains and dark side. Any deck that, well, dark side weapons, period. Like, I'm not saying, I do agree. I think the card is good. And I do think that it's going to help. But it is in the right step in the right direction to make Rescue the Princess V a deck into one that we see in the meta. And I know for one person, he's going to be happy.
It's not a card that someone's going to suddenly be like, oh, thank goodness now I can play Rescue the Princess. It is a card for those that want to play Rescue the Princess to say, thank goodness I'm not getting clown stomped by this bad matchup.
Okay, we do have one question in the chat. Dirty Randy wants to know, draw 2, Battle Destiny if unable to otherwise, hurts my soul. Any hope in sight?
I'm not paid to help people's souls. That is beyond me. I can say we're reading the forums. There's a sentiment of errata fatigue if you're referring to General Veers. But something like Wedge and Speeder does get around Veers because he just cancels his destiny.
Chewie Protector. Not Chewie Protector. Anakin Skywalker V.
Chewie Protector will work.
Yeah.
Anakin will work, and Skywalker V. There are some answers. Honestly, if I could change one thing on that card, it would be the immunity +2. That way, a 4 actually breaks through that tank of a walker. That literal tank.
I think honestly, I think the deploy or draws 2 if unable to otherwise is just obnoxious. Like when being that you can play Imperial Command, limit them to 1, and then they draw 5. Well, yeah, you're immune, but the bigger issue is you're limiting because of Imperial Command, and you're getting 2 yourself, or you have sand. Like having sand and being able to do that just seems busted.
Sand plus Veers is obnoxious, but thankfully to the very smart people on design, they changed sand, so now it's a unique card that can only happen twice per game.
Yeah.
So you can kind of burn through that. For me, it's I drew a 5 and nothing's getting cleared from that walker that keeps eating through. I think if Veers didn't add to the immunity, he would be a little more fragile where he'd get his battle in, but at least you would be chipping away at them too. But we're always reading, and it's not an interaction I love. I didn't make the card. I don't know.
I mean, I personally like big blue Imperial decks, so I mean, I like playing Veers and a Walker has always been like one of those things that I'm like always go to, just because again I like big blue Imperial decks like ISB, Thrawn. Those are two decks that I really like. Now, do I know that they're abusive a little bit? I mean, I'm a lap player. What do you think? But okay, do we have any other like good questions for Chris? It can be any question. Doesn't matter. No, nothing is off limit to Chris.
I didn't sign up for that either.
Well, when I say any question, I mean like if you had to pick one Genki to keep besides Aaron Judge, who would it be and why? But you have to trade the rest of the team.
This might be a good time to thank everyone for watching.
That's what I was alluding to. But yeah, I do agree. Chris, thank you for coming on.
Of course,
having you on is always a joy. I mean, I love the fact that you are willing to sit here and open the curtain a little bit to see what goes on in design, because I mean the game's been going on for 23 years now. The fact that we have people continuing this game for 23 years is just still blows my mind.
Yeah, it's what you said is people. It's so many people. The entire D&D team works so hard. The GEMP slicers, the proofers, the play testers, everyone, graphics works hard. It's way more than me. I assure you of that. And I can't thank them enough. They're the ones that keep the game going.
Okay, everybody. So, again, this Saturday is going to be the Retro Charity Event Finals. Johnny Shu versus Patrick Lima. Garrett Larson and myself will be doing commentary as always. Make sure you guys tune into that. Again, Continentals a month and 7 days away. And then, again, little thing called Worlds is sometime in September in Germany. So, until then, everybody, enjoy yourself. Have a good week. Don't celebrate the 4th of July responsibly if you celebrate. And as always, may the Force be with you.